There is a certain type of person who understands compounding intuitively. They don't need to be convinced that small, consistent investments turn into extraordinary outcomes. They've seen it in the markets, in businesses, in real estate. They understand that wealth is rarely built in dramatic bursts. It accumulates quietly, almost invisibly, through discipline stretched across years. But here's the paradox. Many who respect financial compounding ignore biological compounding. They track returns, optimize portfolios, and speak fluently about long-term horizons, yet neglect the one asset that determines whether any of that wealth can be experienced fully. The body becomes secondary. Sleep is compressed. Stress is normalized. And movement is optional. And slowly, without ceremony, the most important account begins to decline. What if we reframed something as simple as a daily run? Not as exercise, not as aesthetics, but as a high-yield asset. One that compounds just as reliably as capital in the right fund. Every morning run or daily run is a deposit into that system most people never think about. The cardiovascular efficiency, mitochondrial density, neurological resilience, hormonal regulation. They aren't just abstract health buzzwords. They are the infrastructure of energy, and energy is the currency that allows wealth to be used, not just stored. Compounding in finance works because of consistency over time. A single contribution is insignificant. The magic is in repetition. The same is true physiologically. One run does not change anything. Endurance training conditions you to remain steady under sustained discomfort. Your breathing is strained, your legs burn, your mind searches for an excuse to slow down, and yet you continue. That repeated act of continuing is not just physical, it is neurological training. It strengthens your ability to tolerate stress without panic. Now consider how directly that maps to wealth creation. Markets fluctuate. Investments underperform. Businesses experience droughts before harvest. The individuals who succeed long term are rarely those with the highest IQ. They are those who can remain composed during volatility. They stay invested. They stay strategic. They do not allow temporary discomfort to dictate permanent decisions. A daily run becomes a rehearsal for that steadiness, if you think about it. When you wake up before the world does and choose movement over comfort, you are practicing delayed gratification. You are reinforcing the identity of someone who acts according to long-term vision rather than short-term impulse. This is the same physiological muscle required to reinvest profits instead of spending them, to hold through downturns instead of selling in fear, to build patiently rather than chase noise. There is another layer that often goes unnoticed. Many high performers are unknowingly running two portfolios at once. One is financial and trending upwards. The other is biological and quietly trending downward. Stress accumulates, inflammation increases, recovery shortens, energy narrows. Over time, the gap between financial capacity, physical capacity widens. At some point, the numbers in the account are no longer the limiting factor. The body is. The tragedy is not dying without wealth. It is building wealth you are too depleted to cherish, to enjoy, to allocate. Travel requires stamina. Deep thinking requires cognitive clarity. Presence with family requires emotional regulation. Even leisure demands vitality. A daily run interrupts that slow biological depreciation. It shifts the trajectory. Instead of capital compounding while health erodes, both begin to rise together. Financial returns grow, cardiovascular capacity expands, mental grit sharpens, emotional volatility stabilizes. This is dual compounding. It creates alignment between the life you are building and the body that must live it. None of this is dramatic, it is quiet. There are no headlines about someone who ran 4 miles before dawn. No applause for steady heart rate improvements, just as there is no celebration for another automated investment contribution. But over decades, these quiet actions redraw the limits of what is possible. Your daily run becomes symbolic of something deeper. It is a daily declaration that you are not merely accumulating wealth, you are cultivating capacity. You are strengthening the machinery that thinks, decides, leads, and endures. You already trust the math of compound interest. You already believe that small, consistent actions shape financial destiny. The question is whether you are willing to apply that same reverence to your physiology. Because your body is the original capital. It is the engine behind every idea, every negotiation, every strategic decision. When physical discipline compounds alongside financial capital, something powerful happens. Wealth no longer exists as numbers on a screen. It becomes energy available for experience. And in the end, that may be the highest return of all.